And this program is being done by all volunteers. Nobody's getting paid. And the lodge has allowed us to use this space without having to pay to use the space. Okay? This is the Elks now. We appreciate applause, but if you think you're just a little bit hungry, we got chicken in the back. All right, that'll keep the lights off. And if you, as you leave out, because we are videotaping the presentation so we can hopefully upload it on YouTube and what have you. If you want to leave a donation, we would appreciate it, because the photographer, I guess he's not a photographer, the guy that's doing the filming, we try to give him a donation too. The other thing I wanted to tell you is that right now, next month, we plan on talking about how to eliminate the driver responsibility fee. So if you have a driver responsibility fee, I have been told there's 2 ways you can get out of paying that. And if you want to find out, the first Thursday of next month, same place, same time. All right, there are some programs that if you were convicted and you were placed on these programs, that particular conviction may already be sealed, or if you picked up another case after that, you may only have the one conviction. All right? If you were 20 and under, and you have, what you need to do before you go forward is you need to get a copy of your criminal record. All right? You can go to the state police and ask for a copy of your criminal record. You may be able to go down on Woodward and the Boulevard. That's the main location for the Detroit police now. You need to get a copy of your record, because some of you don't know what you got. And until you get it in print. Also, the court is run by human beings. And sometimes things are put in the computer that are not correct. So you may have some stuff on your record that you need to have the file pulled, and so we can go through the file and look at the written paperwork to see if it was put in incorrectly. So the first thing, that's what you need to do, is look at what your record is. If you were 20 and under, it's likely that you will qualify for a program called HIDA, Homes Youthful Trainee Act, where the judge has an option of putting you in prison or on parole for up to 3 years. And if you successfully complete your sentence, your record is sealed. So if your conviction, you knew that you were 17 or 15, because some juveniles got prosecuted as adults, through 20, you may need to check to see whether or not you qualified and got sentenced on HIDA. If you had a conviction for drug possession, not with intent to deliver, just plain old possession, we have what we call 7411. If you got convicted under 7411, that provision, that is not going to count as a conviction. If you satisfy the terms of your probation, that is not going to satisfy as a conviction. Some of the domestic violence cases, even the felony domestic violence cases, there is a statutory provision where if you were sentenced under that provision and you satisfied your term of probation, that will not count as a felony. There is also provision under the Parental Kidnapping Act, the licensed professional practicing medicine without a license. There's something under that act. And drug court. Some of you went through drug court. You may not have a felony conviction. So we have all these different programs, and if you were sentenced under those programs, you may not have a felony conviction. So you need to look at, you need to get the printout, you need to look at your record so that you know what you have. If you kept the paperwork, that would be nice. All right, if you kept the paperwork. What we are discussing is going to cover all of the state of Michigan, and the attorney is here who's going to talk about the pardons. Some of you want to know about pardons. The Innocence Project we're going to glance over real quick. And if you have something on that, you may want to give your information or get information from that attorney. So those, I want you to know that first of all, if you came under any of those programs. Now, the law has been changed. The law has been changed concerning whether or not you qualify to have an expungement. You are now allowed 1 felony and 2 minor offenses.
No.
2 minor offenses are misdemeanor convictions, but they have to be less than 92 days. And therein lies the biggest problem. Less than 92 days. Sometimes the judges, because most misdemeanors are 92 days, sometimes the judges just, okay, they kind of glance over that 92-day part. But you can't have 2 misdemeanors, and that's a change in the law. Before, you could not have anything but that 1 offense. You can't expunge misdemeanors, and you can't expunge felonies. If you get an expungement, that means that your record is sealed. That means when you fill out a job application, an application for housing, they ask you if you've been convicted of a felony, you say no. It is sealed to the general public. The police can still find it. The prosecutors can still find it. The armed services can still find it. We need to know that in case you pick up another case and we got to do the guidelines. All right, but in terms of for your employment purposes, that it is sealed. Those that are not excluded. If you have a conviction for that result in a sentence for a life offense, murder 1, murder 2, armed robbery. If you have a life sentence, the maximum sentence that was allowed was life, you cannot get that expunged. Sex offenses, other than criminal sexual conduct 4th degree. If it was criminal sexual conduct 4th degree, and that's basically you patted somebody on the butt, going down the hall in school. All right, that kind of offense. That is expungible. If your sex offense involves young folks, teenagers, consensual, there's a whole other set of law that you may qualify for. It's not called an expungement. They call it the Romeo-Juliet statute. You can come off the sex offenders registration. So if you have, if it was, teenagers, less than 4 years between the two of you, you may qualify for that, but we're not getting into that tonight. That's just a heads up. Traffic offenses are not expungible. If you, like I said, you can have 1 felony and up to 2 minor offenses. You can expunge the felony, you can expunge the 2 minor offenses. You can't expunge all 3. You can kind of pick and choose. All right? We also have sentencing where it could be a sentence under advisement, and that happens a lot in 36D. In the district courts, a lot of times those judges will do a sentence under advisement. If you satisfy the terms of the sentence, you don't have a conviction. That's why you need to know what's on your record. Now, if you qualify, you have to wait 5 years, if you got probation, 5 years from the date of sentencing. 5 years from the date of sentencing. If you went to prison, it's 5 years after you completed parole. You have to wait 5 years after you completed parole. When you fill out the application, you're going to have to mail a copy to the state attorney general and to the state police and the county prosecutor. You will either go back in front of the judge that sentenced you in the first place, or that judge's successor. Say the judge that sentenced you is dead and gone now. Somebody else is sitting there. All right? That judge is retired. Somebody else is sitting there. So if your conviction was in Washtenaw County, your case goes back to Washtenaw County. We can't do nothing for you downtown. All right, if your case was in Kalamazoo, you go back to Kalamazoo County. The law is the same, but you go back to the court where you got the conviction. If your offense was an assaultive offense, all right, that does not mean you're excluded. All right, felonious assault, you can still get that expunged. However, if it was an assaultive offense, the victim, they have to try to contact the victim to notify the victim. Now, sometimes it's been so long the victim has moved and it cannot locate the victim. Failure to locate the victim is not a problem. But if it was an assaultive offense, then the state police, the prosecutor, have a responsibility to try to contact the victim. There are costs involved. You have to pay the state police to do the background check. All right, so there are costs involved. I don't know if there's a filing fee in the court itself, but I believe there is. So you need to start saving your money. Some of you I talked to, you still got 2 years before you're 5 years free. You got 2 years to save up $200. If it's worth it to you, start putting the money aside. In Wayne County, you go to Frank Murphy on the 9th floor, and they say there's no fee that has to be paid at Frank Murphy. But you do have to pay the $50 to the state police to get the check. And to get certified records. Okay. Well, $15 ain't bad if it's not. So we're talking about a total of $65. Save some money. You want expungement, it's worth it. Save some money. Give up a couple 40 ounces.
Not me.
Once you have filled out the papers, you have completed the papers, and they don't have to be typed. You can print, as long as you can print where somebody can read it, you can print. It does not have to be typed. It is your responsibility to mail the papers to the various departments. It is your responsibility to contact the court and give a court date. And if your expungement is granted, it's your responsibility to send that order back to all of the police department to make sure that the paperwork is completed. The court's not going to do that for you. When you get to court, well, let's go with before you get to court. It kind of bleeds in. And I do have someone here that's going to speak to you who will never get an expungement, but who's still been able to make a life and to have an income. All right, so even if you can't get expunged, it doesn't mean that you know, just throw up your arms and roll over. Because it's not about that. When you get to court, the question is, what have you done to give back to society? Do not go in there talking about I was innocent, but my mama told me I should go ahead and take that deal because it wasn't going to get no better. She couldn't afford to get no lawyer, so I just went on. Don't go in there with that. You already done stepped off the road. The question is, what have you done to give back to society? Did you volunteer down at the church? Have you served one meal at the soup kitchen? All right? Did you put any money in the red kettle? Did you help with to clean up the neighborhood, spruce up the neighborhood, pick up the trash? And if you volunteer with an agency or an organization that will give you a letter or a certificate, all the better. I don't care that you got married, had 3 kids, and had a part-time job. All that's good for you. But it is nothing for society. So the question is, what have you done to give back to society? So if your 5 years is coming up next year, you want to go down to the courthouse, you better start volunteering somewhere this year. Because you got to be able to show that you've given back to society. When you go to court, when you have your day in court, I'm going to say it just like I said down there on the bench. I don't want to see everything God gave you. I don't want to see your underwear. Now, if you can't figure out what professional looks like, go down to the bank and look at what the tellers are wearing. I don't want to see your drawers. I don't need to see the halter top. And I don't really want to read Sexy Mama you in. So don't come up in there like that, because the judge gonna get an attitude, and you're gonna be working from a negative trying to get your way back up. So don't even come in there like that. Look professional. Put on a pair of slacks. They don't even have to be new slacks. Go on to the Goodwill of Purple Heart and get a pair of slacks. These are blue jeans at home. Put on a shirt. If you can find a tie for $1 million, put on a tie. It impresses. We don't see that often. You try to make a good impression. Ladies, don't have a skirt just below everything you want to show. You are not coming to a nightclub. Don't dress like you're going to the club. If you have one felony, it's not a life offense, it's not a traffic offense, and you believe you qualify, I'm going to have the attorneys, because I want you to know who the attorneys are that are here tonight. All right, so I cover all the attorneys in the house. I saw Belinda. Belinda, where you at?
Here I am.
Okay. I want the attorneys to pass out the forms. These are the forms that you need. If you came here with somebody, both y'all got a case that you might want to try to get expunged. You got 2 misdemeanors. You want to get the misdemeanors expunged. You got 2 misdemeanors and 1 felony, and you may still qualify. You want to get that expunged. Don't both of y'all take a form. I don't have that many. Okay? I mean, you can go on around the Kinko's and, make a copy. Leave enough so somebody else can get one. So if you want the form, raise your hand and we will pass the forms around. While we're passing out the forms, I'm going to let Mr. John Cromer speak to you. Okay? He can give you information. If you don't qualify, I still have the felony staffing. We still have to talk about pardons. Pardons are through the federal system. We still have to talk about the Innocence Project and the legal clinics that are available. And some jobs.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. My name is John Cromer. I want to say thank you to Judge Thomas for putting this event together. She and I have been able to work together throughout the years on this same particular issue, creating second chances for individuals. I am also an ex-offender, so I'm very excited about the number of people that showed up tonight. I was impressed that as I walked around the room, everybody was asking me if I was a lawyer or if I was a judge. I do look like Jeffrey Collins a little bit, but I'm not a lawyer. And I was a jailhouse lawyer for about 13 years for shoplifting. I used to be a crackhead thief. And so I supported my habit through shoplifting, and I ended up doing 13 years in prison for that, and I've been home for about 7 years. I have about 6 to 7 felonies, so I would never, ever, under the current statutes, apply for an expungement. So the question to people like myself, I have to ask us, what are we going to do now? I mean, we can sit up here and tell our families, hey, I'm going to check on this expungement paperwork, when you know doggone well you don't qualify for an expungement anyway. You're just here because somebody sent you here, or you heard about it, you thought you were going to get something. So the question is, what are we going to do now? Judge Thomas basically stole my thunder a little bit when she talked about coming out into public, the way we dress when we come out into public. I like to dress the way I could not dress while I was in prison for 13 years. And by the way, I stole a pair of gym shoes and a set of bed sheets to get there. That's a 4th degree offense. So they gave me 2.5 to 15 years in prison, and I served 13 of those of my life. I've been home 7 years now, and since I've been home from prison, I've connected thousands of people to employment opportunities. I recruit for over 500 companies, and despite the fact the devil thought that he had me when I was a crackhead thief, God given me a shopping center. I run the corner of Grand River and Greenfield in Detroit, and I've been doing it for over a year. So I'm very honored here. I'm also recruiting some of my employer contacts, some of the people that I used to shoplift from, have called me and said, hey, we need you to help us put some people over here. I put thousands of people to work. If you're ready for work, I'm going to help you. You have to start right here, right now. You cannot start by making excuses. Anything that you're missing, if you went to prison, if you're missing anything, that only means that you spent too much time on the spade tables, on the card tables, in the weight pit, and doing other stuff. But if you really invested your time in your time, if you really gave yourself all that you got to give, and you understand that even Superman and Wonder Woman had enough sense to realize they had to change clothes for an occasion. They didn't need a job. They didn't need no expungements. They could have took anything they wanted. But Superman ran into somebody's phone booth and changed his clothes and came out and took care of business. And Wonder Woman, she kept spinning around until she got it right. So if you want respect, people, because I'm one of you, don't look at me because I had a suit and tie. This is how I get by. This is how I get doors opened. And I'm running for Detroit City Council next year to remove barriers to employment for people with criminal records. Because I might be rehabilitated. I might be a different person than I was when I was selling dope. I might be a different person than I was when I was robbing people. I might be a different person than I was when I was smoking crack. So you're going to meet me first, employer, so you can see the rehabilitation in me. How dare you have that question on your job application and expect for me to stay out of trouble when you won't hire me? So I'm not expecting for none of y'all to go out and vote. Even though the judge just reminded you that you have the right to vote. Some of you ain't going to get up because you're going to be too high on weed or alcohol or so depressed about your situation that you ain't going to move. You're just going to sit there and let the time and the world just pass you by. And if that's the case, I want you to go home to your family and you tell your family, get out there and vote for John Cromer because he's going to make a job for me. He's going to tell companies that you're not doing business in this city unless you hire people with 3 legs. In our city, we got people with 3 legs. These 2 legs got us here. And that 3rd leg, our criminal record, is causing us not to move any further. So if you're going to do business in my city, I expect to see people with 3 legs. Because guess what? I'm tired of my Uncle Lenny being in Big Mama's house. I'm tired of my Uncle Jackie being in Auntie Lenny's house because they can't get a job. They can't contribute to the family. They can't contribute to the household. They can't even get bus fare to go look for a job. But we want our families in America to succeed. We want every family to have the American dream. And we don't understand that that's that one person in our family that cannot get that job is causing our family to live a nightmare. We have to pay for him to get this. We have to pay for him to get that. We have to take him here, take him there. He's grown. He worked in the kitchen in prison for 8 years. He worked as a tutor in prison for 10 years. He knows the GED back and forth. He helped people get their GEDs, and now he's out. He can't get a job? That's absurd. And it's not being smart on crime either. How dare these people, in the name of bachelor's and master's and PhD, set barriers between families and between people that causes people to stumble and fall. And by the way, you know, Jesus, how many people know? When people talk about me and the fact that I used to be a thief, that I did spend 13 years in prison, I have to tell them that I live in Detroit, Michigan. And in Detroit, there's over 3,500 churches. Some of those churches are very difficult to get to the table to talk about second chances. But they call themselves Christians. These same Christians in this city and all around the world who do not believe in second chances somehow forget the day that Jesus died. I ain't gonna preach to you, Judge. But God has been good to me. 13 years of my life was taken because I stole a pair of gym shoes and a set of bed sheets. I did almost 3 years in segregation. I was on paper restriction, water restriction, grievance restriction. They beat me. They tied me to the bed. They put me on food load 3 times. They thought they was going to break what God had was putting together. And when God fixed it, it's already fixed. All you young brothers and sisters have to do is dress for the occasion and come out and speak reality. Tell us about what you want to do. Don't come to the judge's chamber talking about your mama made you come. And don't come to no job interview trying to explain what you did to get you in jail. Discuss it like an adult. While I was in prison, I got my GED. I worked in the yard crew. I worked in the kitchen. I went to substance abuse training. I got married while I was there. I'm a different person today. That's what I want to hear. That's what employers want to hear. They don't care about, because chances are, I'll recruit for Foreman Mills, Walmart, and some other companies, and chances are they'll all tell you that when the people that steal from them are the people that ain't never been in trouble before. So believe me, they're waiting for you. They know that you're ready, you're willing, and you're eager to work. Now all you have to do is start from where you are to get to where you want to be, and it should never be at the bottom. Don't tell nobody that you have to crawl before you walk. You have to start at the bottom. That's not true. Because if I sent you on a job interview, you're going to go in there and say, you know, John Cromer sent me here. Do you know which way I'm supposed to go? You got to walk in there with your head up, your eyes open with confidence that you can do this job. And guess what? They're going to reject you. They're going to tell you no. That's when you go back into your phone booth. That's when you spin around again, Wonder Woman, and you get it right, and you go back, and you keep going back. And I'm going to shut up. I'm going to give you my number. My number is area code 313. And I'm not playing. I want to see some resumes. Yeah, if you can't read, write, and count, you might as well call yourself short. 313-646-1452. I'm recruiting right now for Foreman Mills, Wendy's, and Walmart. 1452. 313-646-1452. My last name is spelled C-R-O-M-E-R. First name, John. You can Google me. I invite you to look at some of the videos and things we've been able to do. I have a mentoring program in Detroit. I mentor about 50 young men that are 14 to 26 years of age. We're out to shut down these jails and prisons. We need you fathers to be fathers. We need you mothers to be mothers. Stop blaming other people for your problems. Get out here and get something. Go to the Goodwill. This suit right here, that's why I got on the floor with it. It cost me $16 from the Goodwill. This suit right here, I got it from 15 Mile and Gratiot. It cost me $20 or whatever, $23, whatever it was. By the time I got it altered and made it fit, because in prison for 13 years, they made me wear used prison uniforms. They put me in used blues with other people's number in it. So I know if I could wear a used prison uniform in prison, I know damn well I could wear a suit out here and be successful. I could be somebody out here. And you can too. You don't need no sponsor. You can get up and get out and do something. All right.
Can we get that phone number one more time? John, can we get that phone number one more time?
I have a stack of business cards right here from the judge. And it's 646-1452. Google me. I'm on Facebook. I will help you. My assistant is here somewhere. He'll put you on my calendar. We'll sit down for an hour every Thursday and Friday. I dedicate those days to help ex-offenders get their resumes. I am not a job developer. Okay, I own a store. I run the port of Grand River and Greenfield. But I recruited for over 500 companies, and they love what God is doing in my life, and they still reach back and ask me to help them find people for their companies. So I will be willing to help you. But you've got to be willing to help yourself, and don't come to me dressed raggedy. If you need a tie or shirt, put it on. Ain't nothing white about putting a tie on. It's right, not white. It's about business. JC said, I'm a business, man.
All right, thank you.